Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, now I can.
Yes. Good. That definitely wasn't my fault the last 5 minutes at all.
No? Because it seems like you did one thing, and then
It
I
might
came
have been
back and it
something
worked,
on
and I
my
tried
end.
a lot of things.
So for the
Well, I
listeners
just
at
wanted it
home,
to be known.
um, we just recorded for 5 minutes as Jeff tried to figure out his microphone or his speaker situation, and I just was talking and doing a show alone, and kind of just you know making fun of him for it, and he didn't hear any of it, but also neither did you. Or I wouldn't have, and I'm glad we figured this out because my microphone was not plugged into my computer.
Oh my God.
Let's go! That's a gaslight and a half.
Isn't it supposed to come to me? Yes, this is how it's meant to be. Every little thing flashing on a screen. My daddy worked hard for this.
So, yeah, I was like, well, maybe it is. That's weird. I plug in my USB into this like USB hub, and it has like little switches on it. And for some reason, the one that my microphone is plugged into was switched off.
I hate
Probably
that.
because my Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller touched it.
I,
It's just too many controllers in my life now with all these extra video game consoles.
the switch.
Mm-hmm. So
I
hello.
really hate the fact that, like, I went through like 5 minutes of stress and like really thinking I was the problem, and I'm and it ends up being simply a microphone wasn't switched on. But alas,
Well, I was
here
what I
we
because it's
are.
great because I was definitely talking to you and trying to. Well, I was like, open a YouTube video, see if you can hear something else besides this. And of course, you
Do I
couldn't
do
hear
that?
me.
That is one thing that I know how that feels because people will have issues at work saying typing on Teams, I can't hear anything. And I'll be like, okay, well, just leave the room and come back in and see if that see if it fixes Teams. And I'm like, and you can't hear me tell you that. Like, I'll do that in front of the class. I'm like, damn it! Like, our brains can't process what someone's telling us when it's I can't hear, because you instantly try to tell them how to troubleshoot it, and you're like, well, my fingers are tired, so I don't want to type it out. So good luck.
I love it when you're in a. Because we'll have these meetings sometimes where it's like a company wide for HR or whatever, and there's like 250 people in there, and then one person chats like, "There's no sound," and then
Every
everybody
time.
else is like,
Every
Yeah.
time.
It's like, well, nobody else has messaged that, so it's probably a you thing. It's like,
Yeah, people. I and I try to be more compassionate about that. I'm like, it's always a problem. It's always like, I'm never going to tell you you're lying to me about your tech issues. I believe that they're happening, but yes, it is weird for you to assert, hey, we're all experiencing this problem. No, no, I know that would be more comforting, but also too is like, people will message us in like the class chat on Teams instead of like messaging someone on the side, and it'll be like, I have to go to the bathroom, and I'm like, at what point have we ever told you you're not allowed to, or like anything, like, or needed to know?
raise
But,
his hand.
like
Chat.
yeah, like it's weird that people just. I'm like, yo, just leave, and come back. I'll be like, I won't know. I don't need to know. It's perfect. It's perfect the way it goes.
Do you ever get the sense that people who are presenting sometimes are desperate for a question because they just do the same thing over and over? So sometimes, like in Teams, when somebody accidentally clicks the raise hand button, they're right in the middle of a sentence. Like, oh, we got a question. John in Baltimore. Do we got a question for John? No, that was an accident. Okay. Well, put your questions in
If you
chat.
have questions,
Please. Please.
yeah, I work with people that are like that, and I've also worked with like people who because right. I think I get what you're getting is like what I'll do is if I see a hand raised and I'm presenting something, I'm like, let me finish a thought or a concept or even like, hey, I'll even tell them, I'll be like, I see your hand up, but let me just get through the next minute or two because it might be answering your question. And I'll finish like a concept and then call on them. But I've had students like raise their hand and then after like 10 seconds, they come off mute and go like, I have a question. And I'm like, yeah, I saw your hand up. I was kind of still and I will. And I'll be like, I won't go, oh, okay. No, I'll go, no, I'm aware. I saw your hand up, but I figured I would finish my sentence and not just stop exactly where you raised your hand. Like I've done that to people because I'm like, oh, you want to play this game? I'm like, this is my house. I will establish dominance in a team's meeting.
You're killing me, Smalls.
So my old boss always told me, and then we'll get into real things and stop talking about teams. My old boss always told me, he's like I'm gonna react the way that you act. He's like, but you the representative or adjuster, or in my case the student, you choose the battlefield. So if you want to ask a dumb question one-on-one and pull me to the side and ask it, I'll answer it there. But if you're gonna ask the dumb question in front of everyone, all right, man, this is where you chose to have this discussion. I'm never going to go, oh, I'll talk to you on the side. Nope. We're doing it right here because you wanted to make it right here in front of everybody. So, lesson learned.
It is tough when somebody asks a question that's so dumb. I've seen it before in a meeting where somebody asks a question, and again, like 200 people, 199 people know how to do this thing, whatever the process is, and somebody asks it. And you're like, what the fuck is wrong with this? Is this a real question? Are they trolling? And then it's such a dumb question that it doesn't get answered. I've seen that before. Where it's like, I'm going to let you sit with this one. I can tell like they just let them sit with that process. And then hopefully like somebody on the side or their coworker is like, oh no, why did don't do that. Edit, delete, yeah, get that out of there. Just leave the room, get out. Yeah. So last night I was watching Warped Tour on Twitch, which is a fun 2025 sentence. So a thing that started in the 1900s is back in POG form. And it's broadcast on Twitch. They had multiple stages. I think Amazon was broadcasting it too. So
yeah, there's two broadcasts.
So there's a couple. Yeah. So, you're familiar. Have you been watching?
No, actually, funny enough, I'll tell you how I got there. Super producer Steve was at Warped Tour, or is at Warped Tour. So he texted me in the morning and said, we got to the front of the arena at the stadium and then found out that that's where the line started and then had to walk to the back of the line, which he claimed was about a half a mile long. He took a picture of where he was when he got to the back of the line, and I'm like, you don't even look like you're near anything that would be a stadium. He's like, I'm not. So evidently it was a lovely, real, true outdoor concert experience where you get to stand in line for hours on end before you even get to do anything. But I tried finding more information about like seeing if there was anything chaotic happening, and I looked on X, on the Twitter box, and then saw the efforts for the Twitch stream and hopped on to the Twitch stream. And lucky enough, the time I was looking for this exact information was right when Streetlight Manifesto started their set. So I'm like, well, don't mind if I do. And I hung out for Streetlight's set.
Yeah, I think they're in D.C. this weekend, it seemed like.
They are.
Or it's in D.C. And so I guess there was some crazy weather, too, that might have, like, delayed some parts of it. But I first saw, when I first got on, Ice Nine Kills was on.
Nice.
So it was really my first time. Well, I've seen some YouTube videos. We did miss them at the Metallica show because we were too busy pre-gaming in the car and peeing in bushes next to the car. And they definitely like put on a show, like the horror show. The one thing that cringed the ever living fuck out of me when they were performing was after the first song, the lead singer goes, like, whatever, welcome, it's a horror to meet you. And he goes, they call us Ice Nine Kills. I'm like, they don't call, you called yourself that. I don't know. They call us? What does that mean? Is there like some...
Wait, yeah, hold on.
Like,
did you have another name in, like, your band was another name, but then everyone kept calling you this, so you just went with it?
Yeah. We were Bubble Wrap, but they call us Ice Nine Kills. It was fine. I mean, they put on a good show. It's such like a mashup of everything, like with the trumpets, and it's like Real Big Fish, Fucked Avenged Sevenfold or something like that, and then Iced Earth is a little sprinkled into it. I don't know. It's very, it's a fun watch. But they did bring out a couple Real Big Fish dudes for one of the songs, or maybe a couple of songs. I think some horn players. So it must be like, for all these bands, it's just a fucking, just a group meetup of like, dude, you got to come on to our show. You got to come on to ours. They get to do that kind of thing. Because then I watched later, pretty much the whole set, Sublime. It was on the other channel. I switched over to see what was on, and I was like,
I actually was thinking. I didn't tune in, but I was curious to see Sublime now that Jacob Noel is their lead singer.
Dude, he's
R.I.P. Sublime with Rome. We hardly knew you.
With Rome?
Yeah, when they were going around as Sublime with Rome, because it was Rome Ramirez, and they weren't allowed to be called Sublime, so they had to be called Sublime with Rome, because Bradley Noel's wife, like, vetoed, like, she has a say in whether or not they can tour as Sublime, and now that Jacob, Bradley's son, is the lead singer, they are now able to tour as Sublime again.
And I may have seen some like Instagram reels with him before, but it was cool to see like the whole show. People were vibing it, and I feel like I knew a lot of the songs, but I forgot how many of the songs I knew. And such a genre blend of, punk and kind of the reggae and all that. I mean, obviously everybody knows who Sublime is. I'm being an idiot by describing it to people, but they had some guys come out too, like guys from like Cartel, Fletch from Pennywise. So I guess Pennywise must be there, I assume. I didn't see that. They got the pit going, and then it reminded me of hearing Sublime. Reminded me that probably for like 3 years I was really into Slightly Stupid in like the mid 2000s, because I forgot about like reggae. And it was like when I was in Hawaii, lived there for a little bit. Well, and everybody listened to Slightly Stupid like every day.
That lines up.
Yeah.
Jeff, there was this time where I hung out on the beach a lot and surfed and was smoking marijuana. And can you believe it? I got into Slightly Stupid and that whole scene. Yes, that actually makes all of the sense.
And it's definitely like white guy reggae, which probably most reggae is white guy reggae, probably when you really think about it. College age, mid-20s.
Unless you're really, I mean, the newer, how do I put this? Like the newer island reggae stuff, I'm not horribly in tune with. I listen to, I know a lot about the older reggae stuff, but I guess white guy reggae is kind of a subgenre, but I too got into that pretty strong in like, I would say like 2009, 2010, 2011. I was really into a lot of that stuff. Pepper, I got big into.
Oh yeah.
Slightly Stupid. What's their face? Dirty Heads, stuff like that. So I love that stuff. That stuff's great barbecue music. Oh man, like I forget that those are phenomenal. Like hanging out in outside music.
Because then they would always Slightly Stupid. It'd be sometimes be like super chill building, like smoke some ganj kind of reggae, and then it would just switch over to like super fast skater punk stuff, and then it'd have this crazy rhythm. And then all of a sudden there'd be like this real like smooth reggae, but it would be about having sex with like some 17-year-old girl or something like that, and it was like, whoa, what just happened? It just got really weird. This is kind of creepy right now, talking about like somebody's some high school girl, and it's like, I know it's legal in Hawaii, but you know, you don't got to write about it, or you know what, share your story. I guess what am I to take away somebody's First Amendment rights?
Bring
but
the real you to work. That's what corporations say. Bring the real you.
It doesn't hold up. It doesn't. It holds up really weird.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, cool. When you're like 21, this is fun to sing along to. When you're 42,
we're gonna go back to some deep cuts.
I can't sing along to this.
There's this guy I follow on Instagram, like his name's like Heightsagram or something, but he does like a lot of old timey classic rock songs in 50s, 60s, 70s. He like pretends he's listening to them, and then it's always about like, she was just 17, and like one of those, and he's like, what? And so like there's like thousands of songs with dudes singing about teenage girls. It's really strange that
dude,
how much of a market there was for that.
A lot of like 70s rock and like hair metal, you're like,
true,
like,
hair metal too.
This stuff, I mean, that's like there's a lot of predatory music out there, and hair metal is probably the one where you hear the most really jacked up stories of like, it sounds like your concerts were just big underage orgies. But hey, cool, man, whatever but I don't know. There was no one to tweet about it back in the 80s.
And then later in the night, MGK was on. You know, everybody's favorite punk rocker, MGK.
I don't know what that is. He has become just this essence of I'm like, okay, I know you're a celebrity and what you do has something to do with music. But I don't dislike Machine Gun Kelly, because to be honest with you, I don't know I could identify a single song of his. But I know there's so many people that are fucking tired of that dude. But like, I don't really know what he brings to the table. Like, he doesn't bother me, but I don't know what he contributes to music, society, anything. But he bops up everywhere. He just kind of shows up, and you can't miss him. He's like,
he's like a famous
6'7",
guy,
$120, covered in tattoos. I'm very confused.
What's his? Actually, let's YouTube Machine Gun Kelly and see what his most popular. I bet we've heard his most popular song, right?
Okay.
I gotta think. Oh no, this is gonna mess up my algorithm.
Spotify. His most streamed.
Machine Gun Kelly. I guess I could have done that.
Sorry. In
videos.
Spotify, he's only listed as lowercase MGK. So is that like literally what he goes by now? Does he not?
Oh, probably. Oh,
So
Rap
there's
Devil
something-
and Eminem diss. Oh, I forgot that was a thing. He did a rap diss.
Bad Things.
You know what?
with
I don't want to
Camila
click on any
Cabello.
of these. What's that?
Oops, probably could have muted that. Bad Things with Camila Cabello has 735 million. Oh, My Ex's Best Friend, that has 746 million views or streams.
So what is it? The one with Camila Cabello?
Bad Things.
All right.
So he gets a lot of people to work with him.
Let's check it out. Is this too old guy for us to do this? Do most people know this song?
I don't know.
I think our audience may need to experience it for the first time. I'm just gonna move ahead to like where a chorus might be.
My mind, if you only knew the bad things that I don't think that I can explain.
He has a lovely
it.
voice.
Yeah, he's very good.
Hey, I can't explain it. I love the pain.
Oh no.
And I love the way that your breath knows me like Novocaine. And we are always high.
Ooh,
Keep it strange. Okay, yeah, I'm
Keep
the
it strange.
same. But you the same. Let me paint the picture.
Call out. Okay, I've heard enough.
That
So
is
he was at
something I
Warped
would not-
Tour, closed
I
out.
would not want to listen to more of that song.
So I do get it. He's like, I don't know what he is, but anyway, so it feels like when he's on stage, again, like the cringe element was whatever. He's playing songs, you like him or not, but like he just talks so much between each song about being so self-aware about his celebrity. He's like, this next song we haven't played before, and people say it's like so pop. It's like, dude, it's just a joke. Or like, don't be so serious. It's like he's like he's IRL talking to his internet haters, like in the show on the microphone, even though, like, it's very bizarre. You know, it's like talking to the 2% of people that give him internet hate, and he's responding to it. And that's what he's so self-aware about his celebrity, and that's what matters more almost than the show itself. It was very bizarre.
I'm sure it is, right. Is like, that's how you'll stand out, is if you literally force it to stand out by addressing stuff like that. But right, it's like, if you're an artist and you're telling people, you're taking your concert time to tell people why other people are being silly about complaining about your music, it's like, what? You forgot the part about art, which is supposed to be like, there's no need for justification. It's just what you want to do. So why are you concerned with justifying it to the people who are choosing to stand in front of you right now? Like, yeah, and I'll be honest with you, for those of you that don't know, you don't have a lot of time at Warped Tour. You have a set of like probably a half hour tops. A lot of bands are 20, 25
I mean, he was
minutes.
closing, but it's still probably like an
so
hour.
He probably had
hour
like a solid
30,
hour.
but yeah.
Man.
So I don't know. I might check it out today. We'll see. Check it out from home. Although today is recording the morning of Father's Day. I know last week was our Father's Day episode, but I did want to acknowledge that we have $5 towards our Chuck Norris cameo fund right now from listener Sarah. So we've started. You guys, if we can get it to $225 as a GoFundMe, I will contribute the other half. I will match 50% of all funds raised for this organization. I was moved by it so much that I shared it at work lunch this week about all the cameos and our Soulless the Wolf. And I did. I spilled the beans on a lot of stuff that my friend and I buy cheap cameos for each other with furries. And then I told him about the 621 rule at furry cons, where you should sleep for 6 hours, eat twice a day, and take 1 shower a day. You know, because that's stuff you forget. That's stuff you forget when you're in it, when you're in your fursona. Never forget. And also, speaking of never forget, do you remember what we did on this program 100 episodes ago? We're on episode 125, by the way. So episode 25.
Do I remember what we did on episode 25? No, I don't recall off the top of my head. I don't remember what we did on episode 124.
We did a draft. It was like a special thing.
Oh,
we did a 90s draft. The reason I was thinking about that is because I kind of wanted to do
toy draft?
Something
Or like
kitschy again.
Okay.
I think it was just 90s items or 90s nostalgia. Like, what was on there? Like slap bracelets, probably. A Nickelodeon alarm clock.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Were drinks and food on there
like a
too?
CD player? I don't know. I wouldn't listen to it again. But if you need to, if you want to, yeah, Trapper Keeper, maybe that was something on there. I didn't keep the list, but I was kind of thinking we should do another draft or another movie debrief, maybe one of each.
Wow.
Maybe we go back to back. Thoughts? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I like a good draft. I always love a good draft because I think it provokes solid conversation and it won't require research by the listener, which the movie really does require them to put in that effort outside of the podcast. So, I mean, yeah, I'm always good for a draft. Feel like I'm back in COVID days if I do the draft like that.
My thought was
I could argue that if we wanted to spice up a draft, maybe that's what we do with our next guest, so that we have 3 people drafting. Really make it harder to build that better team. You know, when it's 2 people drafting, you're like, all right, the most that can squash your plans is not that much. But when you have 3, maybe even 4 people drafting, that's when I really think you get an interesting mix of being able to vote on who created the better team.
Okay. That is a good idea, actually. And I don't know, as I was thinking about it, because I was kind of thinking, I don't know what the subject would, because you got to have something that's sort of limited, because I was thinking like of a draft thing last night, and then I was watching Warped Tour, and I was like, do we draft our own festival lineups, like summer festival lineups? But then do you limit it to a certain genre? Or do you have to have like, a classic, a modern, and whatever? But then each of us would probably, it'd be easy for each of us to have 10 of our own acts that the other person doesn't have.
That's correct.
Kind of thing.
That's
right. Yeah.
There turns out there's a lot of musicians and musical artists out there that the overlap
It'd be
isn't
very
guaranteed.
easy. Yeah. So we'll offline about this, Jeff. Let's offline about this.
Okay. We'll circle back.
But yeah, let's circle back. Circle the
Table
wagons
this for now.
offline. Yeah, this isn't value added right now for the listener.
No.
So, but if you were going to then in the moment construct your own summer festival lineup, I don't know, think of a handful. Who do you toss in there? I mean, Vans Warped Tour. See how I promoted that? Is it still Vans? It's weird that it's just plugged into my brain that way. Do they still? Is it still called Vans Warped Tour? One word?
Yes, it is still. It is.
So that's still
Vans Warped Tour.
notoriously like a genre: punk, pop punk, ska, and MGK. I was thinking of more like the Bonnaroo vibe / ACL, where it's like could be multi-genre. And how do you hit that? Like, number one, who's your class? Because you always got to have like a classic artist, some big name that people haven't seen in a while, whether they like it or not. So at ACL for years, like sometimes it would be like, they throw in a Bob Dylan was there one year, Paul McCartney was there one year, so they'll toss in some of those guys.
Wow.
Who do you go with your? Who do you go with your legend? Who's your legend?
Ultimate legend.
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay. So for live music, legend wise,
and they could be like still like I've seen Eminem there before. He's more like a modern legend. He's been around for long enough.
that's hard.
Like Chili Peppers have been there. I guess I'm thinking more like really old school.
See, I'm just trying to think of like artists that are still that you could still have show up. Like I think like honestly one that would, I mean, it could never really happen because there was never a reunion amongst them, but like to have like the Fogerty back with like CCR, I think would work on any festival level.
Hey,
because
we're just fantasy booking it.
yeah, I mean that would be a killer legend group to put up there, and almost because of that, like if it was actually in practical like real life, to have CCR advertised with John Fogerty, I think would be legendary because like they are the only group that basically stuck to their guns. I mean, even Oasis got back together, and everyone thought that like the Gallagher brothers despised each other and could never make up. Mm-hmm. Fogerty never got back together with CCR, and now granted, Creedence Clearwater Revisited, CCR kept touring long after Fogerty was gone, but they never reunited, and that was a band that existed for 8 or 9 years, I think, and then went poof. So I would have loved to see that.
And that's a good one too, because I bet a lot of their songs still trend here and there from like commercials or movies or something like that. So they probably have some TikTok presence, I'm guessing, just from some of their hits. So it would still be relevant. Like people would want to see it, check it out.
So their discography was 1968 to 1972. That's it. All of their music was released over the course of only 5 years.
Over the course of Vietnam.
Right. And they haven't released an album together in 53 years, but we still hear their music all over the place. They haven't released a song in 53 years.
God, that's such a good one too. Because you could go with like an Elton John. That's a pretty safe pick. Or like Billy. Billy Joel's not even touring anymore, right? Doesn't he have some health issues? Poor Billy.
Yeah, I don't even know if he plays like MSG anymore. I don't think he does.
Would say somebody like, I don't even know if, I mean, there's problematics with some band members, but what about like a Pink Floyd? Like that'd be good for a festival. If somehow you could fantasy book getting them together for a show, a festival show right now. People could just, get stoned, get on mushrooms, laser light shows. That'd be a pretty good.
I was just going to say, I'm like, I need, with what Pink Floyd brings to the table is you need a massive like video screen and just a complete, in-depth show with it. Like I want chaos unfolding on stage with Pink Floyd, because their music to me is very like, okay, it's good, but that's about where it stops. I would never call Pink Floyd great in my own personal opinion. But knowing like the history of The Wall and everything like that, it's like, all right, you gotta bring me the theatrics then, and then I can I can be okay with the music being not phenomenal to me, but if you put it all together, yeah. But yeah, I think their members hate each other too, or at least the original.
Did you ever do the what is it called, the Wizard of Oz deal?
The lineup
with Dark Side of the Moon?
I never did with Dark Side of the Moon. Like Pink, no. Did you?
Yeah. Dark Side of the Wizard. What did they call it? Dark Side. They called it something.
Oh, they actually called
Dark
it.
Side of the Wizard
Experiment as something.
The Dark Side of the Wizard of Oz. Or wait, what is that? What is? Dark Side of the Rainbow.
Oh, okay.
Or something. The Dark Side of Oz, the Wizard Floyd pairing. Wait, something like that. That is the right album that they did it with, right?
Yeah, it was definitely Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I did it. I forgot. So,
oh my God.
I think I did it twice actually. So one time, it was in Austin, the Alamo Draft House. They did it, paired it up. So you don't actually start it right away. You like start it, I think right before the color scenes start, right when she goes into Oz, if I remember correctly. I may have been stoned, but it is really good. Like it pairs really well, and then like at some point it just kind of like doesn't anymore. So like I feel like if I remember like the last 20 minutes or 30 minutes, it's like that's sort of it. And then you're just sitting there. It's like, okay, you're really in it for like the middle 45. It's really locks in, and then it's like, okay. And then one time I think, oh no, I didn't see that. We went to another show at like a theater, and it was just like that's what it was, just a Dark Side of the Moon laser show. So it's just like they filled it with smoke and just a bunch of lasers and shit. And but yeah, it would be a good experience. That's my pick for the old guys. How about?
Okay.
I don't know, like, how about the band that's like trying to make what about a 90s band that nobody's even thought about really too much for a while? Maybe they've still been touring, but maybe this is like their album comes out, and I don't mean like a Creed, Limp Bizkit, like retro, jerk off sesh about, that kind of thing. But I mean a band that you thought was solid, and maybe nobody even knows who they are, but you just see that they're on the lineup, and you're like, oh shit, they're still together. Like, I would see them.
Oh, good
but
for
they've
them.
still been making music. Like they're still a thing, touring.
One interesting one that came to mind was Beck. I think Beck would be a really cool one that people remember enough but aren't still aware of
cool
anything that Beck has done. And, a versatile element, something that even in the world of the 90s was interestingly experimental and never, when you went album to album, you never knew what you were going to get. Obviously, Loser was massive, but was very odd, even when it was popular. Like, I remember, like, MTV VJs and stuff, like, talking about it, and it's just, like, these lyrics are just all over the place. I don't understand what Beck's singing about. And then Odelay with, like, that was his biggest hit with, like, Devil's Haircut, Where It's At. Then you even had, like, it was Midnight Vultures, I think, with, like, Sex Laws, and there, yeah, just a lot of interesting things. And I think what's good about an artist like Beck is that it's never gonna, it never feels like the music ages, because it never really fit into anything. And you could have a Beck in his 50s going out and singing those same songs, and I think that it would still be received well, because of, like, the stuff we were talking about earlier, where, like, okay, if the topic you're singing about is age appropriate, if you get older, is it going to be weird to watch that artist perform that music again? Circa, like, listen, the reality is, and I love these two bands, but Newfound Glory, Blink-182, it's like, okay, but if you're in your 50s singing about what you were singing about and writing about in your 20s, at some point it doesn't necessarily line up anymore. Whereas Beck, that stuff, I mean, as much as I enjoyed the music and the versatility, I still listen. I would read some liner notes of some of the lyrics, and I'm like, I have no idea what the hell he's even saying here. I'm like, this makes no sense to me. But generally, an artist that I think
that's such a good
work
pick
very
too.
well at a festival.
Yeah, it is, because, like, yeah, the variety, and he did have, like, his moment. I was looking it up because I remember he won, like, Album of the Year at the Grammys, like, 11 years ago, and he's continued to hit, like, for Morning Phase, and it's like, does anybody even still play that one? It's like one of those, he's like one of those artists where he definitely has, like, his core group of people, and somebody who listens to this is like, what the fuck? He's been around. No, he's, like, won a Grammy, like, last year or 2 years ago. He's still touring. But to the regular fandom, it's good because, yeah, his sound fits the summer vibe, because it's got a little bit of the electronica involved in there, some of the rock, some of the indefinable sound. He's also got the cool factor of, it's like, I think I'm supposed to like Beck, too. Like, this is cool. Like, yeah, I think, I like him because he's not, like, mainstream. He's like, I only have Beck pieces of vinyl. I don't even listen to him on anything else, like one of those deals. So that's a solid pick. I was thinking something like, because it came up on my Spotify the other day to pre-save, and I was like, holy shit, that there's a new Bush album coming out this year. And I was like, whoa. And it's like, they probably still have been doing stuff. Like, I mean, obviously 16 Stone. I mean, a lot of, like, 90s bands, their first album was their biggest hit, and it will always be that way. But they weren't, like, hit wonders necessarily. They had follow-up albums, things like that, and I haven't really kept up with them. So, like, to see them come back, it might be bridging too much on the Creed type nostalgia, but I don't think they had that kind of, like, bounce back hype in terms of, like, being necessarily a joke, an industry joke. So it's like,
they were.
I think they're
I
separate
agree
from that.
I think that, they are very separated from that.
So that'd be one where you get, like, kind of the Gen Zs going there to see, like, oh, this is Gavin, like the hot dude from Bush in the 90s. And, oh, yeah, they dated Gwen Stefani. And they have just enough of that, like, drama that was part of it to cause some intrigue where people would want to be like, what are they up to now? Like, I'll go see them. I'll go check them out.
Yeah, I mean,
so I did pre-save the album, so when it comes out,
Bush 16. I can't. I looked up because I had to double check, but because it's hard to, you never know what, especially when thinking back of bands, is your brain wants to call something a debut album, but a lot of times albums could be their first major release, right? So 16 Stone was their actual debut album, and man, for a debut album, that had like 5 radio hits on it. That was
they were
amazing
all over it.
album.
Yeah.
Provoked me enough to
Come down.
buy one of my very first band T-shirts I ever bought before, when school shopping for the new year. Mom took me out to Carousel Mall, and I'm like, Ma, can I buy band shirts for, like, some of the new clothes? She's like, if that's what you want. So I bought a Razor Blade Suitcase T-shirt. Probably going into like 7th
it was just
grade
the album?
or whatever it was. Yeah, that was their second album, Razor Blade Suitcase.
I feel like I
bought
remember
it
you
was the album cover on a black T-shirt.
For some reason, I thought you had the poster. Did you have both?
I had a poster of not 16 Stone, but it was like a black and white band poster. Kind of like, the classic Nirvana black and white band poster? I had an Oasis version of that where all the guys are on the poster in black and white. I'm fairly sure it was a black and white poster, but I did have a Bush band poster in my room.
All right. Who's your I'm an asshole, and I'm just gonna pick a band nobody really knows because they're just for me band that you would pick. Be like, oh, we got to go see these guys.
Oh, I'm going to ruin everyone's time by being like, no, I don't care who else is on stage. I'm watching these guys.
Yeah. Or who's your gatekeeper? Who's your gatekeeper band that's just for you that you really don't, it's like, oh yeah, no, I've been listening to him forever. And it's like, oh, I didn't really hear of him.
Man. So now I'd feel like it's... So wait, does it have to be a band I've never seen before?
It could be.
That?
Oh, I mean, it doesn't have to.
No, it does. I'm changing the rule to your rule. So it has to be the one that I'm hyped about, but I've never seen live before. So that makes them that much more of like a, no, I gotta go. I gotta go to this.
Yeah.
That is still a good question though. I'm gonna try to jog my memory on like what do I got on some Spotify playlist.
I can't decide to go with like some obnoxious like early 2010s band or something, or like one of those folk things that.
Yeah, it's.
I'll go with I'm gonna say Amyl and the Sniffers. See, doesn't that even sound like it? It's like that perfect. Good. Fits the bill for that. So that's the the Aussie punk band, female led. So it had my favorite album last year that came out. They've been touring on it. They're picking up. They've got some popularity, and but not too much where I can still enjoy it. And it'd be like, I've never seen them live. I really want to. Actually, they're going to be in Buffalo in the fall touring with Turnstile. So Turnstile just released this new record, which I would recommend. I just gave it a listen this week. But it's great because the gatekeeping has begun on Turnstile. Sorry. If you're an old fan, you gotta hate them now. It seems like I've already seen the Instagram reels of like how to write a Turnstile song and just like ripping on their style and stuff like that. So they were cool. They were cool until this new album. Now they got too many listens, and they just keep changing. Oh no, we don't like it anymore. The gatekeeping is strong. So I might actually go to that. Maybe do a little couple day trip to go see them.
There you go. I'm going to go, I think this is what I got to do. I think I got to go this is a wide range festival. So I'm going for live performance. Because I've seen like some of their shows on YouTube, but I've never seen them because they're not from the U.S. But Glory Hammer, the power metal band. I think I've mentioned it on the show maybe early on. But they are about live show. It is a concept band where it is all around multiple albums revolving around the story of Angus McFife and his time travel and battles and everything like that. Like, it is complete anarchy of topics, but they dress as different characters in the lore of the music on stage, and they have like a massive like Thor type hammer called the Glory Hammer. And so like just to see that, not to mention just killer power metal that in live, if you've ever seen power metal music live, it is like, people think of heavy metal and it's like, you're jumping around in mosh pits and stuff. Not power metal. Power metal is more about like people like fists in the air and like almost like you're all like amping up for battle. Like it's literally more like community than anger and rage. So that for a festival, I know so many people
And there are
would not want
songs
to go
about
see that.
swords.
Yep. People would not want to go see
Yes.
it. I'd be like, no, I'm going to see Glory Hammer. Join me or not, but I'm going
That's
to go
one of those
on
ones-
the south. I'm going to go on the southeast, Ritz
It
Cracker
would be under a
stage.
tent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be under a tent, like a small, like one of those.
They're not on a
like,
stage. They're on like a series of pallets. They're just standing on pallets. But
the
that
rock
would be
stage.
my go-to for that one.
Literal rocks, yeah. How about a pop? Where do you go pop? You got to have like a poppy act. It could be from
Oh, okay.
sometime in the last decade.
Pop like on the radio.
Yeah.
All
You
right,
got to have a
that's
big pop act there.
It's gonna be hard. I'm just trying to think.
Like I saw one of my favorite experiences that I didn't expect was at an ACL one year, and Lana Del Rey was performing, and she's pop enough. I think she's sort of like, she's like cool pop, like dark pop. Like people who like pop can go to see Lana Del Rey and be like, no, she's different though because of her lyrics. But I was like very into her tunes and her mellow mood. It was just like the perfect day for it too. It was like one of those actually just lay on the grass and listen to her kind of a deal. So I was like, it can hit. So yeah, it is hard because I don't really like. Do I just say like Dua Lipa so I can see Dua Lipa because I've never seen her before? I mean, I've never seen live Lady Gaga, so I would say that, but that's almost too much for like a summer festival, like what she brings probably.
I need her to be able to.
Even though
spread
she
her
does
wings.
them, I'm sure.
Man, for a pop artist, now see, yeah, he's got more poppy music, but I don't know if it would consider because I don't know how much he actually had on the radio, but like Mika, I think would be interesting to put on the bill. Just
Who?
for his style, Mika. No. He had a reel that was popular, that like people kept doing the layered songs of like Grace Kelly. If you play Grace Kelly, that was a trend on like reels and stuff like that of people doing the vocals to that.
Was that like what's? Oh wait, okay. Let's. I might have heard this before.
I bet you have. It's like
Here.
I've got an entity. I can be down, I can be blue, I can be violent, I can be hot, I can be black, I can be anything you like. Gotta be clean, gotta be mean, gotta be everything more. Won't you like
All right. That sounds like it'd be a good fit.
he's
It
very
reminds me of like
he's very Freddie. He's very Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
His vocal
a Harry Styles, right? Isn't he
Yeah.
still? Yeah.
Yeah, Harry Styles. is
That'd probably
around.
be a good one
He's a
to
guy.
throw in there. It's so hot right now. For some reason, I was going directly to like Dua Lipa, Olivia Rodrigo, those styles, which people seem to like, which I'm sure I would enjoy.
Sure.
Either one, all of those are on some summer festival this year for sure.
Yep.
Let's just see. You know what? Why don't I just pull up? What is the Bonnaroo lineup for this year? Let's see how close we are. Where's the poster?
Want to compare Bonnaroo to Lollapalooza and see who wins? See which one you'd rather go to?
Yeah. Bonnaroo 25.
Lollapalooza is
oh,
a
a mock.
4-day festival, which, judging by this, has over 100 artists over the course of 4 days. Like, that's not a festival anymore. You're just kind of like doing stuff. Bonnaroo is
Here
what,
we go.
1 day or
Bonnaroo.
2 or 3?
It's 3 days. Or it used to be when I remember.
Lollapalooza's 4. No one's going to Lollapalooza on Thursday. Come on.
Wow, yeah. So they cover every Tyler the Creator,
Hey, he's on Lollapalooza
Glass
Thursday.
Megadeth. Of course, they got throws like Avril Lavigne, Olivia Rodrigo. Hosier. Oh, Hosier. Duh. How do we forget Hosier for like a modern Queens of the Stone Age. Dispatch.
Ooh, Dispatch.
Oh, I love this. I don't know if you see on the top right. This is where you get the nerdy, like sort of gatekeepery, but a lot of people listen to him. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. 3 sets in 3 days. That's all. I watched some of their YouTube shows. They're like sort of like improv rock, like jam rock in a way, and they bring the energy. So that's like God. They're really good at making what we were just trying to pretend to do. Bonnaroo really does it. Luke Combs, Insane Clown
there's
Posse.
someone actually with power doing this.
Yeah. Oh, Die Spitz. That would have been one of my fuck you, I'm going to see this band. See, oh dude, Slightly Stupid. Foster the People. There you got your 2010s, your
Nice.
folk pop, and then you got your 2000s. Dude, Mannequin Pussy. They're also going to be with Emil and the Sniffers and Turnstile. God, they hit all of the tropes. It's incredible. Modest Mouse, Nelly, unreal. This has a little something for everybody and a lot for nobody. It's perfect. This is how you do it. But it's fun, to like, it's just there so you can go and chill and drink or, do drugs and hang and sweat and use porta potties and dance in the mud.
Lollapalooza is literally filled with bands I've never heard before. Like, I'm not even kidding. There's obviously the 2 main acts each day, which I've heard of, but I have found one artist I know out of the 100 opening acts, and that's sad to me. So the main on Thursday, it's Tyler the Creator and Luke Combs. I do know both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Friday, Olivia Rodrigo and Korn.
Korn, okay.
Saturday, I don't know, Rufus Du
Sol.
And then Twice. And then Sunday, Sabrina Carpenter and ASAP Rocky.
Okay.
And I have,
so like most of the big bands.
I know of them. And then I see T-Pain on Friday, and that's the only other name so far that I've heard of.
There is some crossover with some Bonnaroo, obviously Lollapalooza, Dom Dollar, Cage the Elephant. I like them. Good rock band from the 2000s, 2010s. Role Model I saw on the other one. Yeah, a lot of... Dude, they are. They're a little more... Foster the People. There they are again. Okay. Gee, wow. Young Miko, that's different than Mika, right?
So, let me tell you who was on Bonnaroo or Lollapalooza 1991, the original.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Jane's Addiction.
Porno for Pyros?
Obviously, Jane's Addiction put together by Perry
yeah.
Farrell. Susie and the Banshees. Living Color. 9 Inch Nails. Ice-T and Body Count. A Gem, Butthole Surfers. Rollins Band. Violent Femmes. Fishbone. And then I don't know who these guys are, but they're side stage. That's why I don't know them. But that was the main lineup. Yo, I would go to that lineup today. Dude, to see like Jane's Addiction, Living Color, 9 Inch Nails, Ice-T, Rollins Band, Butthole Surfers, and Violent Femmes, and Fishbone. I'd go to that show in a heartbeat.
God, that's such like a timestamp too.
Right, absolutely.
That show, yeah. Like just kind of one. Well, not really. I mean, that's interesting because 9 Inch Nails is kind of like you start to get the industrial added into it. Do you ever watch? There's a YouTube show that I subscribe to. It's like it might be called like What's in Your Bag or something like that. Mm-hmm. From Amoeba. It's like Amoeba record store or something like that. But they have celebrities come on and shop for pieces of vinyl or movies. But Tony Hawk had one last week, and it's really good. But it goes into like a lot of like, especially because his stuff is so popular in terms of like what the game brought out for people, but his taste, and it's a very cool look at kind of like what he got into and sort of the the birth of a lot of like the industrial kind of metal stuff, like before Nine Inch Nails, and he kind of talks a lot about that. Then obviously the '80s, late '70s punk scenes and all those. But it was a nice deep dive. I guess I'm just using that as a hot rec, just that show, because they've had like Bill Hader on there. They got some fun stuff. Shirley Manson from Garbage, Ice Cube, Lairs was on it 8 years ago. Mike Shinoda. So it's a good watch if you got time for a new program in your life. And I don't know why I started talking about that except for the Nine Inch Nails part of it. But yeah,
Right.
I was kind of wanting to go revisit some of that. Like I had this playlist on Spotify I was building with something like that, like the '90s version, like the Stabbing Westward, Gravity Kills. Remember those? Remember Gravity Kills?
I do remember Gravity Kills.
Guilty.
Yeah.
Remember that? From the
Stabbing
Nerve
Westward
95.1,
was
95.5.
too.
But that's a subgenre I'd be down to go into. Yeah. That's it. I don't know. Feeling the end of the show.
So, before we end, I want to talk about some travel things.
Yeah, you went to go to St. Louis this week, right?
I did. I went to St. Louis and Kansas City.
Got your 20th ballpark under you?
20 and 21st. So, St. Louis was number 20, and then Kansas City was 21. So, one thing I noticed, and I tried taking some notes of things as they were happening, because I'm like, this is so weird. So, first thing is I went to the airport and I parked in my car and had to get shuttled by the parking service to the front, to the terminal, to the departures, and I get on this like short bus basically, and this woman gets on after me, and she has a big bag, and the guy sitting in the front, just another traveler, she's like, oh, there's no room for my bag. And he goes, you can put it right here if you want. Like, it's not a problem, like next to him. And she's like, oh, okay, yeah, if you don't mind. And he's like, no, it's fine. So she puts her bag down. Transaction over, right? He goes, yeah, I'm not going to like look through it or anything. After she agreed and was not hesitant, he goes, I'm not going to look at it or anything. She goes, oh, yeah, okay.
I'm joking.
So she goes to sit down and he goes, yeah, you just looked like, that there was no room. So I assure you, I'm not going through it or anything. And he says it again. But then he says it a third time. Yeah, I didn't want you to think I was going to go through your bag. And it's like, dude, now you've just
Doth protest too much.
You have definitely made it seem like you really, I really want to, but you're
Was
not.
there an element of troll to it? Do you think? Is he like?
No, not the way that this guy was interacting. There's no way he was being like, because like I heard the rest, because he was talking to like the two other people he was traveling with. This is a guy who was probably, if I had to guess, in his mid-late 20s, but seemed like very like lighthearted, hurdy-durd. Like it wasn't a joke. He definitely wasn't trolling, but I'm like, bro, you're leaning into the, like, yeah, I don't know if you're like, it's the good guy syndrome, like being like, oh, I don't understand. Like, it's like, yeah, because it really seems like you're really trying to convince her that you're not going to look at her stuff. Like, she didn't suspect
I've
you
never
were
been
going
through.
to.
I never even looked in one bag, not even mine. I would definitely wouldn't go through yours.
Right.
I don't
want
even
you
know how to open a bag.
Yeah, I wouldn't
wouldn't even know where to
begin.
begin.
Go in there and like sniff your undergarments or something, because I wouldn't. No.
I don't
I'd say
even
I
live
wouldn't.
on this bus.
I said I wouldn't. So that was fun. I bought in true Jeff fashion, actually, to the suggestion of Boyko's wife. I bought a fan in St. Louis from Target, and then we returned it to get the refund. So I had a fan for 2 days. Take that.
What a fucking life hack.
Yeah, life hack, exactly. So
because you need to sleep with a fan, right? Basically,
Correct.
in your life.
Correct. I need
that's
the
right.
white noise. I need.
Where did
I
you
need
stay?
the
Like an
sound.
Airbnb or something?
No, hotel.
Or hotel?
Yeah,
Okay, and they wouldn't have one there. I
they
guess
don't
huh?
have. Yeah, hotels don't really have fans like that. So just worked that situation in.
What
took
a-
it to,
what
took
a
it to
hack.
Kansas City, used it in St. Louis, took it to Kansas City, drove back, and then Jay returned it in Tennessee. So, stayed at a hotel in St. Louis. Lots of extras. Big fan. She just kept reading off. She's like, okay, so breakfast is this and this. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then she's like, and we have popcorn in the lobby from like 4 to 8. I go, popcorn? Yeah, she's like, this popcorn maker over there. She's like, we just
popcorn
pop
social.
popcorn. And I'm like, okay. She goes, and we have happy hour from 5:30 to 6. From 5:30 to 7. She's like, you get 3 drinks. So we could get like free beers in the lobby. You could be at beer, wine. No, I think that was just at beer and wine. But they had like happy hour. You could get 3 free drinks from 5:30 to 7 o'clock. I'm like, wow, well, this place is just feeding us extras. Big fan. More hotels need to grow up and do that. Give me options.
Dude, you know what? I was just thinking, I've been to something like that before too. So I think Brett and I did a road trip to St. Louis. It was in St. Louis because we were at a hotel and it was like, there's a 2-drink happy hour or whatever, or something like that. You can come down. And I remember it specifically because I think we were just sitting there chilling and Wheel of Fortune was on and we think we saw somebody win like $1 million. And we were like, holy shit, he did it. We just happened to be here, this hotel lobby, drinking
Yeah, we
free
happened
beers.
to be here. Not that being in
Happened
a
to
hotel
be.
lobby.
You couldn't have seen that anywhere else
Right.
but here. Yeah. Like, dude, maybe that's a St. Louis. That's a friendly Midwest thing, I guess.
I did like St. Louis as a city as a whole. Let's see. I noticed with boarding groups, American Airlines really goes ham with boarding groups. There was pre-board, then first class, and then they had 9 boarding groups for a plane that had maybe 30 plus passengers on it. Because like boarding group 2 had no one walk up to the boarding line when they called boarding group 2.
Yes.
Boarding group 3 had 1 person in it. I'm like, what? Why are you?
Everybody's in 8.
I'm like, why do you have so many boarding groups? You literally have boarding groups that don't even have people in it. Like, I don't know.
I
who's
noticed
putting
that.
these
Yeah,
boarding
America. That's what I
groups
took to Philly. I took the same to Philly, and I was like, boarding group 8, and they're going through 7, then all of a sudden 8, and everybody's like, whoa, like a sentence. I was like, why? What is
Even
this?
better
What's the math?
that
on this?
everyone's in
Yeah.
8.
Yeah.
Just
That
to
makes
troll
sense.
people.
Yeah.
But I have to. We'll kind of leave with what I dealt with on the way back. So, fun fact: when I went to California last year for baseball, our buddy Jay did go as well, and we found out the day of travel that Jay thought he booked a ticket into San Francisco, but booked a ticket into San Jose. So he was 50 minutes away from where we were staying.
It's a different saint.
Right.
Yes.
So that's what happened with our trip last year. This year, 2 days before our arrival, Jay texted me, he goes, remember how I booked the wrong flight to
It's a
California?
good start to a message.
And I
Yeah.
and I go, oh my God, what? He goes, I booked the wrong week for my flight this time. He booked it for this coming Wednesday,
God.
this coming Wednesday. So he goes, I can't change my ticket because it would cost like $500. He's like, so I'm going to just rent a car in Tennessee and I'll drive to St. Louis and everything with the rental, because we were going to get a rental in St. Louis anyway. So I'm like, all right, that's a reasonable situation. So anyway, knowing this, on the way back, my flight was set to leave at 4:58 St. Louis time, but there was a flight leaving at like 1:24 p.m. earlier. We had nothing planned for that day, so we're in Kansas City, and I go, well, hey, why don't I go on standby for the 1:24 flight, and or I go, why don't I change my
hang
flight
at the
to the
airport?
124 flight, and then you can get home earlier because we can just go first thing in the morning, drive me to St. Louis, drop me off at the airport, and then you can go home. He's like, that's fine if you want to do that. So I go to select it, and it's like, you can change your flight for $75, or you can get on standby for $0 and basically roll those dice and maybe get on for free and save yourself $75, but maybe also not get on that flight. So I go, I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do. And Jay goes, I would just take the chance. And I'm like, let's just roll the dice. Let's go on standby. So I get on standby. It says there's 16 open seats. I'm like, it's the night before. What could possibly go wrong? So the next morning I wake up, I check standby. It's down to 10 seats at about 8 a.m. And I go, okay. I'm like, we're on our way. Let's go. So we leave Kansas City. I'm going to get to the airport at about 11:30 for this 124 chance at a flight. By the time I get to the airport, it's down to 4 seats open on this flight. And so I'm like, all right, I'm still number 1 on standby.
This is gripping.
I'm the only person on standby. So I go, ask them what I should do. They're like, the people at the ticket counter when you first enter the airport are like, here, I'm going to print you out a printed boarding pass. I'm going to confirm that you're here. This could help you get on. She's like, you're probably going to get on. She's like, but I can't guarantee it. I'm like, no, I understand. So she'll go up to the gate when it's ready. So anyway, I'm going down to the gates. I'm walking around because I have some time to kill. I find out that flight has been delayed about an hour. So that's going to leave at 2:24 now. Whoa. So eventually when that flight's gate changes, I go to the new gate. Oh no. Then I go up to those gate counter people and I'm like, hey, I'm your guy on standby. I just want to know if there's anything I should do. And they're like, it looks like the flight is full. She's like, but come back. She's like, stay around, come back, say whatever. She's like, but it looks like it might be full. And I go, okay. Now in the interim, someone actually else got onto the wait list, bumped me down to number 2, but then I refreshed like 10 minutes later and that person was gone. So I don't know if there was someone who like trumped me and then bounced. So anyway,
I have a feeling I know where this is going.
And they start boarding that flight. And she's like, just hang out over here. So everyone boards groups 1 through 97. Everyone gets on. I go up. Another lady comes up to the counter at the same time as me. And she's like, is there any more room on this flight? And the woman's like, no. And I go, I'm your actual waitlisted person. Like I dropped that word because I look over later. I'm like, I'm on the wait list like a responsible adult. So she's like, oh. She's like, right, you. She's like, let me check some things. She's like, I think we might have a spot for you. Everyone has boarded. Like people are just ending boarding the plane. She sends the other person down into the plane. She comes back and she's like, the one seat is taken. She's like, but 9F is open. And the woman's like, are you sure? Yes. She's like, okay. Checks her computer. She's like, boom, prints me out a pass. She's like, go now. And so like the whole plane's waiting for me and I like fucking scurry down. I got the last seat, didn't pay the $75 and went from like not knowing if I was going to fly to sprinting down the gateway. And the best part is I forgot to mention this critical part. While that group was boarding and I was waiting in purgatory, I found out that my 5 o'clock flight got delayed an hour and a half. So I'm like, oh my God, it's just getting bigger and bigger stakes of me getting on this flight. But I was able to get on, and my original flight didn't land in Philly till like 10:40 p.m. on Friday. And instead I got to land in Philly at about 5:30. So
dude, that's Jeff's lucky boy.
I was really.
I thought you were going to go.
I did not think this was panning out for me. Like it was looking grim. And then God bless whoever didn't show up for their ticket in 9F. I hope they're well, but thank you for not showing up to your flight.
I thought it was going to go the way of, because I've seen this happen before where like you do get on the earlier flight, but it keeps getting delayed, and then that gets delayed past what your original flight would have been, and that one takes off, but you can't even get back to that other one. Now you're on the side. Yeah, I've seen that happen before. Like, that's brutal. Like, 2 flights going out to Philly. Yeah, one's a 4. Like the 5 o'clock takes off on time, but the one keeps getting delayed because of mechanical issues or something like that.
I would lose my mind. I'd probably never fly again. Yeah.
Wow.
Hashtag
good for
blessed.
You, man. Good for you. I have a sort of a travel story too this week that I would love to share briefly as we come to an end here this week. I went kayak fishing for the first time this year because the weather finally allowed it on a day I had off. It was a Wednesday, not a weekend, of course. I just went out for a few hours. The water was mighty that day. It was still like the water's been rushing because we've had such a wet year. This year has been wet AF. So it was kind of like, it was tough to fish because every time I'd cast, like my kayak would move like 15 feet in the other direction as I was getting whisked away by the current. But at one point, I was like, still haven't like seen any fish or anything. And all of a sudden I heard, I thought it was like a big old carp, because carp like jump up and just like smack like the water, and you hear them. I was like, wow, that was a big one. And as I'm paddling along, I see a head, and it was a beaver, and I was like, oh, that was a beaver tail. And all of a sudden, I am surrounded by 2 beavers.
Can you be surrounded by 2 beavers?
I wish, I wish that was a chapter in my life that was more metaphorical than actual. But yeah, 2 beavers on either side of me, and I was, but they started to like, I couldn't tell if they were like trying to fuck with me, and I don't know. Do beavers attack? Do we know? Is there a historical record on beaver attacks?
I can't confidently say that you should not be afraid of a beaver attacking you.
Yeah, because they're big when you get close to them. So I just paddled up because I thought it was cool. When do you see? I mean, I've seen beavers from afar before, but they were like, and so they would like dip their tails. They kept like smacking their tails, and like, and I saw the second one, and then all of a sudden they'd go underwater, and then they were like behind me on the other side of my kayak, and I was like, oh, because they would come. All of a sudden, you heard the water, you just heard it, and it's like they were trying to sneak up on me and like scare the shit out of me, and they did a little bit, but it was fun, I think. But I guess I just want to know if anybody has a record of beaver attacks. I guess I just want to keep saying the word beaver. And when I got like really close to the area, they just kind of went underwater. And I don't even know how long they can hold their breaths. I got to learn more about beavers, but it was cool. I don't know. I guess I never thought that would ever happen in my life. And were they smacking their tails as like a warning sign, or do they just do that? Because I think they started doing it like well before I got up to their area. But it was fun. Then I just imagined, like, what if one of the beavers bit my lure because they thought it was like a real little fish? I'd feel so bad. But then I caught a fish after that.
Beavers smack their tails on the water to warn their colony of nearby danger.
Whoa.
You are a threat.
So I am the danger.
Yes,
I
you
didn't
are the one
realize
who
that.
knocks.
I am the one who knocks. I mean, they could have just chilled. I was expecting one to just come up to my kayak and start trying to, get their 2 teeth on me. Interesting. They were very intimidating. Intimidating beavers. I find most beavers intimidating. And, I don't know. What else?
Nothing. Just that you find beavers intimidating.
Yeah. Story of my
all
life. Intimidating beavers.
Well,
We've gone long enough.
We've definitely gone long enough.
This was too long. All right. We'll offline. We'll offline about the drafts.
Fair enough.
All right. And I'm going to give you 13 minutes back in your day, everybody.
Oh,
Enjoy it.
Gross.
Can't